Hi, my name is Dwayne Gathers, and welcome to Civitas LA, featuring diverse and emerging leaders who make up this dynamic region and are creating community every day and building a better tomorrow. These bi-weekly conversations enable us to hear from, learn from, and be inspired by a new generation of civic entrepreneurs who are forging a path forward in making our region a stronger, more resilient, and connected group of citizens. Our goal is to elevate civic discourse, foster community connections, and promote civic knowledge and engagement across the greater Los Angeles region while elevating diverse and emerging voices in that conversation. In a report published by Global Entrepreneurship Monitor entitled Women's Entrepreneurship 2020-2021, Thriving Through Crisis, it states, entrepreneurship is an essential driver of societal health and wealth. It is also a formidable engine of economic growth. It further notes, women entrepreneurs are making significant contributions to the global economy and society. Based on the countries in the GEM survey from 2020, an estimated 274 million women globally are involved in business startups, in addition to 139 million women owners, managers of established businesses, and 144 million women informal investors globally. So as Civitas LA celebrates our entrepreneurial community this National Entrepreneurship Month 2022, a time as shared in a proclamation by the White House to celebrate entrepreneurs who combine passion, resilience, and ingenuity to solve hard problems and create products and businesses that improve our lives, I am delighted to be joined in studio this afternoon by three dynamic entrepreneurial sisters, LeAnn Diaz, owner of Hype Hair Magazine and Girl Cave LA, along with other ventures, and LeAnn and Leslie Jones, co-founders of 1010 Wine Bar and Events, the first wine bar of its kind in Inglewood. As they share their journey growing up in Inglewood, their path to entrepreneurship, and how they work to engage, inspire, and serve their community through their respective entrepreneurial ventures. LeAnn, and Leslie, welcome to Civitas LA this afternoon.
Thank you for having us.
We're very grateful. Thank you.
No, this is exciting for us too. First of all, I want to thank our dear friend Jasmine Willis of City National Bank, previously on episode, I believe, 56, who recommended these great sisters as our guests today. So thank you, Jasmine, for that.
Yes, thank you, Jasmine.
On Civitas LA, we always appreciate if our guests will offer a brief personal introduction. Since we've got three sisters here, how do you want to do this? Do you want to do the baby sister to the eldest or eldest down? How do you want to do this?
I think LeAnn's resume is more impressive, so we'll let her start.
Wow.
We'll let the baby start.
LeAnn, baby sister, you start.
Thank you. Well, my name is LeAnn Jones, born and raised in Inglewood. Went to school at Arizona State for undergrad, as well as my master's in criminology. Then went to University of Arizona for law school, where I focused on criminal law with a focus on juvenile. Then I came back to LA, passed the bar, became an attorney in 2017.
Passed the bar the first time.
Thank you for that.
Excellent.
Thank you for that. Did family law as well as criminal law, and then transitioned to helping my sister Leah here when she started her businesses and doing more of commercial law. So that's how I got into the field of intellectual property. And from there, I decided to pivot and start a wine bar with my other sister Leslie here. And because we're born and raised in Inglewood, we wanted to have it in the community that we're from. So we became the first wine bar in Inglewood.
Excellent. Given that you mentioned your sister Leslie, let's go to Leslie next.
Yes, so my name is Leslie Jones. I am in the middle of Leah and LeAnn, born and raised in Inglewood, like LeAnn mentioned. Also went to college at Arizona State University, but I stopped there, moved home to LA, and got into wedding planning. So I have a wedding planning business called Leslie Marie Events that I've had for the last almost 10 years now, which is what also helped me transition into 1010 Wine. Really wanted a space in our community where we were from, where we could host private events.
Excellent. Well, Leah, I saw in your bio, you said that you're the triple threat. So,
I love
Leah
it.
Diaz, the triple threat.
I mean,
Share.
right? I gave myself that title, by
I
the
know.
way. I'm the self-proclaimed triple threat.
Okay.
Someone else normally should give that to you, but whatever. If you don't big yourself up, who is?
Well, you're right about that.
That's how I feel. So I'm the eldest Jones sister. We're all from Inglewood. Grew up in Inglewood. And I guess my career path started, I worked in children's services as a social worker. I realized that I love community, but I hated paperwork. And so I wanted to figure out how I could be involved in community, still have my, still have a business mind and not have to be bogged down with paperwork. And so one day I woke up, I realized that I'd never got treated fairly when I went to beauty supply stores. And I was fascinated with the economics of how much money beauty supply stores made and never really saw Black people behind the counter or owning them. And so that started me to kind of start the journey in the beauty industry. And the world opened up for me, honestly, behind the Girl Cave LA. I've been able to be featured on a reality show on Bravo's network. I've been able to purchase Hype Hair magazine, which has a 30-year history of being the authority in Black hair care. And that kind of opened up the door for me to open up Champ City Bar, which is the unofficial watering hole.
Right. Well, we're going to get to that. Don't.
I mean, it's so much, but I mean, that's really who we are in a nutshell. And I'm really happy to be here with my sisters because we all have known since a young age, I think, I can speak for all of us, that entrepreneurship was something that we all wanted to do. We just didn't know what and how.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Well, you touched on a number of things that we're going to get into more deeply down the road here. But before we dive into our conversation, we always appreciate the lightning round. And the lightning round is an opportunity for us to get to know you a little bit better through the lens of your Los Angeles, or if you want to stick to Inglewood, that's great as well. But the lightning round is a great way for our listeners to find a few insider hotspots across our region. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Get it.
We love food here in the studio and everywhere. So share with us a favorite restaurant or two. Leslie.
Post and Beam.
Baldwin Hills, yes. LeAnn.
I am a little more west side for my first choice. I'm going with Nobu. That's my favorite right now.
Boring.
Well, we love Nobu.
I'm
Leah.
just joking. We love Nobu. That's like our sister date night place. Man, if we're talking Inglewood, obviously it's 1010 first. And then secondly, I would have to say probably, I don't know. Listen, it's going to sound, I love the Nile Bar on Market Street. They have the best bar food and drinks. And she's a Black business owner too.
Okay.
Betty's amazing. So those are my top two spots in Inglewood for sure. 1010 and the Nile Bar.
Okay. We love taking a sip, whether that's a cocktail, glass of wine, cup of coffee, maybe tea. Give us a favorite place to take a sip.
Sip and Sonder for me. Coffee in Inglewood.
Episode 18. We love Amanda, Jane, and Shanita.
Sip and Sonder.
The vibe there is amazing.
It is.
Leah, you got a place?
I'm gonna go Inglewood. We're talking Inglewood. We're gonna keep the theme Inglewood here because we're from Inglewood. Yeah.
That's whatever you want to do.
You know what? I'm gonna go with the Court Cafe in Inglewood. They have great mimosas. They have they just have like a great cocktail menu, and the presentation is amazing. You can't beat it. So I'm gonna go with the Court Cafe in Inglewood.
Leslie?
I'm going to go with Hollywood Park Casino.
Oh, okay.
Wow. I want everyone to notice that neither sister mentioned Champ City.
Exactly. We're going to talk about that venture soon.
We don't go there to drink. We go there to eat, and we go there to dance.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, give us a favorite place to take a visitor. LeAnn.
Favorite place to take a visitor. Oof.
Stay with Inglewood.
I'm staying with Inglewood Rusty Pot.
What is that now?
Rusty Pot. It's a breakfast cafe.
Okay.
I love that place.
Okay.
Yeah,
Leah, do you have a favorite place to take a visitor?
Usually when I have friends come in from Inglewood, I take them to Hilltop.
Oh, Hilltop Coffee.
Yep.
Yeah. Leslie?
I'm going to say SoFi Stadium because we're big Rams fans.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay, we like that. We love our open space here in Southern California. Give us a favorite hike or park. Give us a favorite open space. Leslie.
There is like a really small, easy hike right behind Terranea in Palos Verdes.
Oh.
And so I always like to go there because you can also do it like very hungover. So if you had like a long night, this is like a really great place to go to kind of wake yourself up a little bit and also feel like you've done something.
When you've had a few too many McBride sisters vinos at 10
Exactly. You can still wake up in the morning and do your hike.
Okay, that's a first on the show. I haven't heard that one. LeAnn.
So very close to Inglewood, backyard of Playa Vista. They have a trail right by LMU. You remember we did that trail?
Yeah, I've done that a couple times.
Yeah, and it's a 3-mile trail, but you don't feel that way.
Okay.
Yeah, and it loops around, so that's where I like to be.
Excellent. Leah, do you have a favorite park or hike?
Okay, so it's probably like everybody's like spot, the Culver City Stairs. I brought my first house over there, and it just was walking distance from that place, and so it's very challenging. But once you do it like 3 times, it's like it becomes a walk in the park. So when I feel like I want to push myself or I need to get some steam off, I always do the Culver City Stairs.
And that has been mentioned before, so that's great.
Yeah.
Again, we're loving the return of community events. This weekend we've got Dia de los Muertos over in Boyle Heights. I was just at the Larchmont Family Fair this past weekend. So give us a favorite community activity or event for you, Leslie.
Keeping it Inglewood, I'm going to say Taste of Inglewood.
Yeah.
We just had Taste of Soul a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, Taste of Soul is always a good time, but I love Taste of Inglewood too because it highlights, businesses in our city, and I always get to learn about new businesses that are either coming to Inglewood or that I haven't heard of before.
That's a good one.
That's
I
great.
also like in the summertime, like the jazz evenings at LACMA. But
Oh yeah,
Great.
yeah, those are a vibe.
LeAnn.
There's that the art studio in Inglewood. It's literally right across from us, and it's unknown, and you just
It's an art studio across from you guys?
yeah,
Oh, wow.
and you can go in and just walk around and check it out, and so I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Leah, do you have a favorite community activity or event?
I'm gonna keep it real simple. I like Taco Tuesdays. There it is. I love Inglewood Taco Tuesdays. I usually start at Champ City, and then I end up at my favorite place, the Now Bar, and I just love it. It's like a
You can even hop over to Melodies too.
Exactly. So
Okay.
I make Taco Tuesday a thing in my household.
Okay. Well, LeAnn, Leslie, and Leah, this is great. We appreciate it, and we love learning about all these great hot spots in Inglewood because we really, when we started this venture back in 2020, we actually had a 3-part series on Inglewood, which is episodes 17, 18, and 19.
I love it.
And here we are with you all. Join us for episode number 80. So thank you for that.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it was a great opportunity, including Anita, Amanda Jane, and Shanita at Sip and Sauna was 18. So, here, that was back in November of 2020. So here we are in 2022. But let's start with, give us your experience growing up in Inglewood, and particularly something that you talked about, Leah. We've also heard on previous episodes, particularly with organizations that are working with young boys and girls of color, the whole notion if you can't be it, you can't see it. If you can't see it, you can't be it.
Yeah.
So give us your experience of growing up in Inglewood and seeing yourselves as future, business owners.
Yeah, I think I had less examples outside of the home. For me, my examples were inside of the home.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was a registered nurse, and she also had a business. My grandfather was in my mind, he was like the black Donald Trump, for lack of a better word, because he was, not in a bad way, but like in a great way. He was a builder. He was an investor. You know what I'm saying? That was his thing. And so he taught us a lot about real estate. Maybe I should have picked another real estate person, but Donald Trump was like the biggest one I could think of.
come on, dude.
I mean, I'm just saying, he was, Papa was like a builder. He was an investor.
Yeah.
He was the good version of Donald Trump, the black version. And so I think for me, we had like a lot of examples inside of the home. And that was like my first example. And so I try to mimic that first to my children, the entrepreneurial spirit and just kind of like being self-sufficient and not dependent on government systems or people outside of yourself to take care of yourself. And then hopefully that trickles down to my employees and other people that I work with, and they see that as an example. So that's really what I strive to do every day, be an example in my house first. And then.
Yeah. LeAnn, you went into law. When did the entrepreneurial bug sort of, come to you?
Honestly, in law school, I realized that I just didn't necessarily want to work for anyone else, but then I didn't know what to do with that, and so it was very perfect storm in a good way of finding my love for wine and wanting to be an entrepreneur. That it just meshed, and thankfully I have sisters that were supportive of that dream because you go to law school, you pass the bar, people want to keep you in that realm of you need to be an attorney, instead of seeing that maybe that's not who you're going to be. You know, that's not what your dream is. That's not what your passion is. And not saying I don't have a passion for the law, but I have a passion for wine and owning my own business too. So it just happened at the same time.
Well, I saw in the bio piece that you sent me that in college you developed a passion for champagne, and I kind of thought, you know, in college I was drinking keg beer, so I wasn't quite drinking champagne. So I said, this is just, she's like high end, you know.
Fancy.
She's fancy.
I got lucky.
Same.
But I mean, honestly, it's kind of a gift and a curse, because it's like, wow, I picked that habit up pretty young. It's expensive.
I mean, but thank God that you went to law school, because the truth is that LeAnn has been able to help us mold and guide the core structure of all of our businesses.
Absolutely.
So it's valuable, even though you're not
you for
practicing
that.
law like every day, like in a firm.
Yeah.
Your expertise has like really helped us be able to. I mean, what other thing could you ask for besides a great attorney if you're a business owner?
And hopefully she gives you a good rate.
Yeah, absolutely.
We pay the same.
Why not?
Leslie,
Of course I don't charge my family.
Leslie, how did the entrepreneurial bug, come to you, and what were some influences that you had?
I think, like Leah said, it was really inside of the home. Our grandfather never worked for anybody except for when he was in the Navy for 4 years. So even when he was 12, he started selling like peanuts. And so it was always instilled in us, the entrepreneur spirit. And so I never knew exactly what I would do. I didn't know what kind of business that I would have. But when I went off to college, I studied political science because I was interested in government, but I knew that I would be an entrepreneur in some aspect, and I just didn't know what that looked like. So for us, luckily, we had those examples. Our grandfather lived 8 minutes from where we grew up, so we had that example, day in and day out with him.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, let's talk about your respective ventures, since Leah's mentioned a couple of them already, and we know about the wine bar. So let's start with Leah here. So you're in the beauty space, which is huge, and I came across a New York Times article in December of 2021 entitled "Black Women Make Waves in Hair Care," and it noted that the global hair care industry is worth roughly $77 billion and may reach $113 billion by 2028, and that Black-owned hair care companies are growing, increasing their market share to $2.5 billion in 2021, spawning waves of Black female hair care enthusiasts with business acumen. So talk to us about your entry into this space, and what led you to acquire Hype Hair, which as you referenced, had been around for a couple of decades prior to you acquiring it.
So, like I was saying earlier, like I grew up, we grew up in Inglewood and Carson, but basically we grew up like Black girls. So when you got some extra money, you went to the beauty supply store. And I hated the experience. I just hated feeling like I was not supposed to be there, or I was stealing, or, you get followed around. And so that specific experience kind of stuck with me in adulthood. And like I said, I was fascinated with the economics of the beauty supply industry. So I didn't know anything about beauty supplies except that I liked being in them. And that started me to open up my first store. Then I opened up my second. Then I opened up my third, then my fourth. And then I kind of franchised them out to kind of expand the brand and keep the name The Girl Cave LA very present in Southern California. And I think we've done a great job at that.
How many locations are there now?
Right now we have 6. We downsized during the pandemic. We did great, but one of our locations didn't do well, and so I opted to close that one kind of midway through the pandemic. But yeah, we're good. We have two that I own and operate. My father is a franchisee. He owns and operates a store in Compton. And then we have 3 other franchisees that have brought into the brand, and really excited to see their growth. So that's been exciting. Yeah.
And tell us about the magazine, and when did you acquire the magazine?
So I purchased Hype Hair magazine about 1.5 years ago. LeAnn was really instrumental in navigating that deal for me. But part of my experience on being on a reality TV show is I did a lot of press. And one of the publications that I did press for was Hype Hair magazine. So I got really involved with the magazine. I did press for them being on the reality show. And it came down the grapevine that the owner was looking to sell. And so I put my bid in, and He accepted my bid a few months later, and it's really, I didn't look for it. I wasn't asking for it. I never woke up one day and said I want to own a publication.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity, and I had to take it.
Yeah, because I understand, stats overall suggest that, magazine, what's magazine readership these days? So much of newspapers and magazines have gone digital. So how have you worked to move the publication forward? What are some of your goals going forward with the publication?
I feel like that's the best thing that I brought to Hype Hair. It was in a transition of being a hard copy magazine and a digital publication, and the previous owners were trying to figure that out. I'm fortunate because I have an 18-year-old daughter and I'm present on social media, so I really understood the digital space a lot more than the previous owners. So really, I've found the value in going all digital. We're 100% digital. We have an Instagram page, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. We have a website. And all of our content is digitally placed. And honestly, it's the best way to get in front of essentially millions of people. I think right now our watch hours are at 7.5 million people.
Wow. So where do we find you?
Hype Hair Magazine on YouTube and Instagram.
Okay.
And then our website is hypehair.com.
Excellent. No, that's great. We'll have to look for that. So let's turn to LeAnn and Leslie, because it was interesting talking to Amanda, Jane, and Shanita in November of 2020 as we were at the beginning of the pandemic. And I understand you both launched 1010 Wine and Events in August of 2021. So here we're still in the middle of the pandemic. So, this is the first and only wine bar in Inglewood, with the largest selection of Black-owned, wines selection as well. So tell us about the experience. What led you to set up this wine bar in the middle of a pandemic?
Kind of like, I'll just say this, kind of like everyone else, we didn't know it was coming. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So we got the building in 2019, the end of 2019, and we were just like moving full steam ahead. It used to be an automotive garage, so we really remodeled it from the ground up. And so when we got the building in the summer of 2019, we were already taking reservations for holiday parties in November and December. We were that confident that we would be up and running. And just with doing permits and navigating construction and all of those things, it took a lot longer than what we thought. And we were actually ready to go back into construction once we got everything cleared up. In February of 2020, and a couple of weeks after we started construction is when the pandemic started. So the whole time we were really just like trying to stay positive and kind of just keep pushing through. We did a lot of virtual tastings. We did a lot of consulting, really just to kind of, keep our business flowing because we were expecting to open. And so, we never really had the goal of like opening during the pandemic. We just, started the goal before the pandemic. And then in August, we felt like it was safe. We had done a lot of research on how to open up a restaurant safely. We had made sure that our team were all safe. We did a lot of cleaning measures, and so we felt comfortable opening up at that time. But we put a lot of extra work and a lot of extra resources in making sure that our community was safe. And something else that I would say is that opening up in Inglewood was super important to us because that's where we're from. But Inglewood has a high Black population and a high brown population. So we knew that, Black and brown people were disproportionately being affected by COVID. And we didn't want to be a part of that problem by opening up a space that was popular, that was crowded, that would have a lot of people there. So we really did our due diligence to make sure that we could do whatever we could to make sure that 1010 was a safe place to gather and not just opening because we really wanted to open.
And what's been the response from the community, being the first wine bar in Inglewood, but what's been the response from the immediate community, and what's been the geographic reach of 1010, wine bar? LeAnn?
Yes, it's been, we say it all the time, the support from the community has just been overwhelming. We have regulars. We have people that walk down the street. We have people that are like, my Uber ride is 5 minutes. So it's really been day in, day out, just a support and just letting us know that they're grateful that we're here. And we're just as grateful as they are that we're here. We're grateful to be there. So it's just been really an overwhelming experience of support from the community. And then outside of that, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I don't know how you feel, but some of the places and interviews and people we've been able to meet and things like that wasn't something that I necessarily thought about when opening up 1010. I thought we're going to open 1010 because our passion is wine and events. And then it's like next thing we know, we're on the Ellen show, and I'm like, holy crap, I never thought that.
And the next thing you know, we're having dinner with Gabrielle Union
Right.
and Dwayne Wade. Like
Wow.
that was
Yeah.
like
But we never,
That was amazing.
we never thought of that, when we opened. So it's very cool to be able to be in that space. It's very cool to be able to experience those things. And now we just want to improve more so that we can continue to build our brand and have a further reach.
Do you know, there was a report that I came across in preparing for this conversation, a report entitled the Terroir Noir
Oh, yes.
2020 study of black wine entrepreneurs, and this was conducted by a professor, Monique Bell, who's at Fresno State. And in that report, it noted that black-owned wineries account for less than 1% of all U.S. wineries, while black people typically make up more than 10% of American wine consumers. And in their surveys, they suggested that 43% of survey participants, including wineries and other wine businesses such as yours, report that financial capital is the primary roadblock to their business. And further, it also said that 58% suggested they were neutral or disagreed, actually, that the wine industry is making meaningful action to be more inclusive of underrepresented groups. How, as you navigate working with wineries, distributors, others in the industry, how has your business been received so far?
Yeah, it's been really interesting because we set our stance of, the wine companies that we were going to support from the day that we opened. And kind of going back to what we talked about earlier with having like this entrepreneur spirit, it was always ingrained in us when we were kids, from our parents, from our grandparents, to support small businesses, to support women-owned businesses, to support black-owned businesses, to support minority-owned businesses. And so anytime we move into a space, like Leah said, like with beauty, we always look to see what black people are doing in the space, what women are doing in the space. And so when we got interested in wine, the first thing we did was we Googled, what are black people doing in wine?
Okay.
And so that really got us into learning more about black wineries, black-owned wine companies. First black-owned winery that we went to was Brown Estate in Napa Valley. And we kind of really got to learn more about what black people are doing in this space. And so like I said, it's interesting because we have always been very clear about what our vision was. And it was really just supporting the wines that we had been drinking at home for years, because those are the wines that we came to love. And so we are very clear about that when we talk to distributors, when we talk in interviews about what our mission is. And the reason why we do it, one, it's because the wines that we love, but also because, like you said, less than 1% of the wineries in America are black owned. So you can go to, any run-of-the-mill restaurant, you can go to any grocery store, and you're going to see your popular wineries that have, dozens and dozens of acres in Napa Valley, but the wines that you find at 1010 are not wines that you're going to find other places. And our goal is that you find it at 1010, but that you request it and ask for it in other places, so that Total Wine and Bevmo's and big-time restaurants like Nobu start carrying those black-owned wine brands, those women-owned wine brands, so that their brands also start to expand. Yeah,
no, that's great. Leah, to the larger point, beyond just how 1010 is being received in the wine industry, overall, this article that I noted in the Global Entrepreneurship Report, talked about some of the persistent challenges that women entrepreneurs continue to face, including things like lack of access to networks, finance, and role models. What's been your thoughts on building a network to support your entrepreneurial path?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing for me getting into the beauty supply industry is I didn't have anybody to go to.
Okay.
There were no other black-owned beauty supply stores, owners that I could go to and say, hey, what distributors are you using? How do you price an item like this? I didn't have that. So what I've tried to do is really create a network amongst myself of other black-owned beauty supply stores and just share information. I don't have competition the way I see it.
Yeah.
My competition is my previous year, and so there's nothing that takes money out of my pocket to say, go try this other store, especially if it's black-owned. And I have seen, when I first opened, there were no other black-owned beauty supply stores in Inglewood. Now there's 4 that I know of.
Oh, wow.
And all of them, I all know these ladies personally. I can call them at any moment. I send customers to them. So part of my mission in my business, and not just my business, is my life, is to really like share the information, because it doesn't hurt my business. It actually helps.
Right.
It builds community.
Absolutely.
And so now when I have a question, I have 3 other women I can go to in my backyard. And I think my sisters have done the same thing, just making sure that we have a sense of community amongst business owners in Inglewood that look like us.
Yeah.
All of my businesses are self-funded. I've never been able to go to a bank, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I've made millions of dollars in the beauty supply industry.
Okay.
I don't have a network where I can go to a bank, but my greatest value is that I have a support system. That, to me, that's more valuable than capital a lot of times. And so I create what I didn't see when I started.
Well, a couple of episodes ago, we had Tanua Thrash-Entook, who's now running an organization called the Center by Lendistry, and their role is to support entrepreneurs and small businesses in communities of color. So, we talked about, what type of support networks are out there. What do you think you all would want to see, want to need? What kind of support would you want to have access to grow your enterprises? What do you need? What do you want?
I think it's something that, and I'll speak for myself, that is a blend of capital, but also mentorship, because you can have capital, but if you don't know what to do with it, then, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
With us opening 1010, and I know, Leah, with you having your businesses, we learned how to navigate the city through trial and error. Thankfully, we had a cushion to be able to do that, but sometimes people don't have that cushion. So I rather being able to know what to do with my capital, so I'm not making a $10,000 mistake, because sometimes a $10,000 mistake means you can't even open your door.
Right.
And so the thing is that there's so many people. I think your space is unique in regards to the beauty supply. Our space is unique in regards to, being the only wine bar in Inglewood, the first one in Inglewood. But that doesn't mean that other businesses or business owners we could have learned from them. You know what I mean? But we didn't have that. We didn't have that network. And so I think that can be the most frustrating part. Is like, okay, I go to the city and do what? I have $1 million, but now what do I do with it? And so I think the focus has been funding, but I think it should be a blend of funding and education.
Right. Understood. Leslie, you want to add anything to that?
I would agree. LeAnn and I are part of a program that we just were recipients of. It's actually a grant, and the program is called Regarding Her, and it's a coalition of female restaurant owners in Los Angeles, and they actually just spread to D.C., and they selected 10 women, female restaurant owners, including Amanda Jane and Shanita from Sippin' Sonder. And there's a grant component to it, but there's also a 10-week course that comes along with it. And we've been open for almost a year and a half, and I've learned more in this 10-week course than I have the whole time that we've been open.
Wow, that's amazing.
And so I think what LeAnn said is absolutely true. You can have the financial resources, but if you don't have that guidance, if you don't have someone who's kind of gone before you to set an example for you, then it makes things a little bit difficult. It's not impossible, because people have done it. We've done it. It's not impossible, but it definitely makes things easier. And I think a lot of times when people talk about, generational wealth and passing things down to your children. Yeah, it's less to me about money, and it's more so about resources and connections, because that's what's going to help you build your net worth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Since you mentioned the work of Sippin' Sonder and Shanita and Amanda Jane, I remember the conversation with them talking about Sippin' Sonder also using that to be a force for building community. And of course, unfortunately, it was the pandemic, so no in-person events. But I've since been back down there, and I have experienced a number of events there. So how are you looking to leverage your space, your physical space, particularly the wine bar here, to foster community within Inglewood and this growing group of Black and brown entrepreneurs who are setting up shop there?
Yeah, we've actually been able to host quite a few really awesome events. A lot of them that have been steered towards entrepreneurship. And I think that that's really important to us. When we decided to open up this space, we knew that we wanted to host events, but I think that my thinking was always that it would be social events, baby showers, bridal showers, that kind of thing, because that's the world that I came from in events. And so when people started approaching us to have networking events for entrepreneurs or have conversations about, how to build community or how to build your net worth, that wasn't something that I ever thought that we would do, but those conversations are extremely important. And anytime that we can lend our building to have those conversations, we definitely do.
No, that's outstanding. So thinking more broadly about community, when I had the chance to visit 1010 and did a short vid with LeAnn, we talked about the impact of the Rams, particularly, and you mentioned the Rams and SoFi Stadium.
The Rams house.
Yeah. So thinking about the Inglewood that you grew up in and the Inglewood that's evolving around you, it was really fascinating in our conversation that we had 2 years ago. Some of the guests were ambivalent about what's happening there and the issue of gentrification. Others were excited about it. Give me your thoughts on what's evolving around you and how do you think this will impact your business currently and considerations for future opportunities in Inglewood.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I have a controversial
okay.
on that.
Let me start first so you can end.
Yeah,
yours
you
is,
do
I think what is important for us is that the city is going to change no matter what. The Rams are there. The Clippers are coming. There's a lot of other things that are coming to the city. And so why we were so really unapologetic about opening up in Inglewood is because that's the city where we're from. And we knew that we wanted to be a part of the change that was happening in the city. And so what I do like is that this change is happening, but what I think is important is that people that look like us, people that have been there for years, are a part of that change. And so I think that something that makes people frustrated is that they see this change, but they see it from people that don't look like them. They see it from people that have come from other parts of the country and have just seen that Inglewood, they see Inglewood and they see dollar signs and they think, okay, this is where I'm going to plant myself. And now they feel like they're priced out for their leases for businesses. They feel like they're priced out on places to live. And that's, obviously not something that I would hope for. But the goal is that people that look like us are a part of that change. We don't want the same Inglewood that it was when we were growing up. Still now there's one grocery store in Inglewood. That's not okay. I want there to be a Whole Foods. I want there to be a Trader Joe's. But I want people that look like us to be a part of that, bringing those types of companies to the city, which is why, we love that we're the first wine bar in Inglewood, and we're people that are from there, and it wasn't someone who came in, had this idea, had a bunch of money, and decided to take over a corner in Inglewood and make this space.
Just to piggyback off of what you're saying, I think you hit the nail on the head, because sometimes I feel like people say gentrification as it's a bad thing, and the thing is that to me it makes it seem like black and brown people don't want nice things, and it's like we do want nice things, but we don't necessarily want it to always be from someone that's not from the community or from the outside.
Or price us out of participating.
Exactly. Sure. But it's like if there's a black-owned Whole Foods, well, hell yeah, you know what I mean? Because I love Whole Foods. And so the thing is that I think that sometimes people can see growth in that area, and because it's not done properly all the time, then it's given a bad name. But shoot, I would kill for a Whole Foods in Inglewood.
Okay.
I also don't think Whole Foods is a franchise.
Yeah, I don't think you can own Whole Foods.
Everybody has a price.
Whole Foods is owned by Amazon, so I'm going to go ahead and say it's not black.
Everyone.
Let's call
I'm pretty
Jeff
sure
Bezos.
what's his name? Betzel?
Jeff Bezos. Let's give him a call.
Right.
Leah, you had a different perspective on this.
Yeah, I love Inglewood. I love the city. I love that a girl like me from Inglewood has been able to implant her businesses there and make a lot of money and hire people that are black and brown. That's great. What I just cannot wrap my head around, and I guess my frustration with the city is that, I go to building and I go to planning and I don't see anybody that looks like us, and I don't think that honestly, our city government cares. I think that they like this. I think that they like to see businesses that look like that have owners that look like us. I think they like that we're leaving, and not, because there's obviously you do, because there's no support to keep us there. I drive down Market Street and, I see a few Black-owned businesses, and that's great, but all of the signs that I see for real estate agents are not Black-owned real estate agents. And I think of all the time that I've brought property in Inglewood, I've been able to use a Black agent. I've always used a Black agent. So why is prime real estate in Inglewood being sold by people that are not Black? Why are the businesses being pushed out? And we made a decision a few years ago. We cannot do business in the city of Inglewood if we have to lease, because I have a beauty supply store where my rent has been essentially doubled in the last 3 years. So I'm forced to next year make a very hard decision if I want to keep open a beauty supply store that employs 15 or 16 girls in the neighborhood, or do I want to keep up with this cost of rent that honestly I'm not going to be able to afford. And so when I see things like that and I don't see a push to really help keep businesses that look like me there, it's very obvious to me that the city is okay with the Starbuckses, these big chains coming in, and there's very little regard for people that look like us. So my sisters and I are fortunate because our bread and butter, our businesses that we really depend on, we own the real estate. If we didn't own the real estate, the truth is that we would have no.
It would be tough.
It would be impossible. I'm facing it right now in my beauty supply stores because I don't own the real estate. And,
But 1010, you own the building, right?
Yeah, we own the building at 1010. We own the building at Champ City, my bar and lounge. And we recently purchased the Savoy, and we own that building there, thank God. But, when I talk to other business owners that are renting, they're like, I got to notice that my rent is going up $1,000 next month. I mean, a restaurant, that's a big deal.
With so much happening in Inglewood, and as we come out of this pandemic, and as you mentioned, you've got SoFi Stadium now, you've obviously got the Kia Forum, you've got the Clippers, well on their way to Inglewood. What new ventures do you have in mind or that are underway currently, and what role do you hope to play in the future of Inglewood? LeAnn, do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, Leah just alluded to it. We were grateful enough to be able to purchase the Savoy.
What is the Savoy?
It's on La Brea and Manchester.
It's the longest standing nightclub. And I want to say probably Southern California. In South LA for sure. It's been there for 17 years.
So it's a nightclub venue.
Yeah, it's a nightclub venue. 10,000 square feet of venue space right in the heart of downtown Inglewood.
Gotcha.
So it's really exciting.
We're very excited about that. And so we want to do some fresh new things that, the space that Champ City is not able to host, the space that 1010 is not able to host, we're able to host at the new Savoy. So we're grateful to be able to do that. And to be honest, we really want to have it where we can support other Black-owned businesses, where we can support minority businesses, and whatever we can do in that space to continue to cultivate that in the city. That's really where my mindset is, because there's so many people doing amazing things in Inglewood, and I don't think that they get enough recognition. Like Jam's Creamery, and then even Doolin's, and then you have the Now Bar, and you have Sip and Sound, you have Hilltop, you have all these places, but I don't know if when people come to the Rams game or when they come to the Clippers game, they know, I can go up the street to Champ City and have a drink, because literally the new stadium for the Clippers is walking distance from Champ City, or that, I can go and grab, a bite from Doolin's before I go to the Forum. And that's what I would like more to see, is us being able, or even We Jammin', they are literally right across.
We Jammin' is amazing food,
and right across from the Forum. So I just want it to be that it's more talked about and more recognition, so that when people are coming in, those dollars are being circulated in the city.
Yeah, LeAnn said it. I think that's what I was trying to articulate. There's so many great Black-owned businesses in Inglewood, and we support them, but why doesn't this influx of people that come to the Rams Stadium every Sunday, or a Harry Styles concert that is literally in town for a month, why isn't Inglewood helping us be noticed? We're doing it, but what is the city doing to make sure that we're okay?
So I'm going to ask a question on that point. Is there an active chamber of commerce in Inglewood? Are you members of it? Because technically it should be a local chamber that would curate all this information and have a way to disseminate this, because I'm just curious to know what your traffic is like at the wine bar on a Sunday, for example, at a football game.
So there is an Inglewood/LAX Chamber of Commerce, and I think that they are kind of just going through a transition as well. But one of the city council members has kind of built a group of local business owners, Inglewood business owners. And what I have kind of charged myself with doing is being a liaison for those business owners with the city, because I feel like there's a point during the pandemic that I was at the city, no joke, every day for about 6 months.
Wow.
So I was there all the time, and I know, how to navigate, getting something open in Inglewood. Yeah. And I know some newer business owners or some business owners that might have been there for a long time and things have changed since then. Yeah. They have a lot of growing frustration. So, we've only met a couple of times, but I have decided to be that liaison for these business owners with the city to kind of make those things a little bit easier. Yeah. And like my sister said, our goal is, when we opened up 1010, our goal wasn't to be the only high-end restaurant in Inglewood. We want there to be other ones. Right. We want people to be able to go somewhere, grab a glass of wine. If there were tons of restaurants like that on our street, do you know what that would mean for our business? It's not just, for selfish reasons. It's like it's a great thing for all of our businesses.
You need multiple,
So exactly.
It makes Inglewood a destination.
It makes it a destination.
Absolutely. And it's going to be, as you mentioned, Harry Styles is here for a month. You've got the Chargers and the Rams. You've got the Clippers. So there's so many people coming into Inglewood. Why not spend half the day there?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
LeAnn, any final thoughts on that point?
No, I think my sister said it. Okay. I think, it's a new Inglewood, and it's really, keep up or get left.
Well, it certainly is exciting. I've had the opportunity to go to, one disappointing Rams game. Unfortunately, they got stomped by the Bills. Unfortunately, but it's a beautiful stadium. But that's great.
It is a great stadium.
So, given that this is not only National Entrepreneurship Month, but we're airing this in November, and right in front of us is the holiday season. So give us some exciting holiday happenings at 1010 coming up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we have quite a few events coming up. We're doing a Friendsgiving, which we are partnering with a winemaker and kind of pairing some traditional Thanksgiving food with some of their wines. We're also doing 1010 is about building community. So we're having we are lucky enough that, we're born and raised in Inglewood. So our core group, our family, are all within, 5 to 10 minutes from where we live. I literally live across the street from Leah, and LeAnn and I live together. So, our dad lives.
Don't you love it?
We're all I've had better roommates.
5-minute jog from each other's house.
Our dad lives across the street, so we're lucky enough to have our core community here. But we also know that a lot of people that live in LA are transplants. So we really try to make it for people who aren't necessarily from here. We want them to have a space to come for the holidays as well. So we have quite a few events that we're curating and planning now, all around wine, but also all around community. That'll really just be fun for the holiday season.
Right. Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
We're opening the Savoy this holiday.
He asked about 1010.
Oh,
yeah. We can get to you next.
Savoy is all of us.
Yeah. So on that point though, Leslie, how does our audience find you?
Yeah, so our Instagram at 1010 Wine and Events, all spelled out. Our website, 1010wine.com. We keep an up-to-date schedule of all of the events that we have coming up. A lot of them are free, and the ones that we do charge for, we give you plenty of notice so you can save up your coins to come.
Leah, any holiday happenings that we need to be aware of at Hype Hair Magazine or Girl Cave?
Girl Cave, we just make sure you have your holiday hair. So
you got to get your holiday look. You got to get the holiday look. Okay,
or the same, so switch it up for the holidays.
Okay.
And I think what I'm most excited about the holidays is we've been working really hard this last year to get the Savoy. I'm saying the Savoy for so people can know the landmark, but to get that location open. So I'm really excited that that's going to be happening. It looks like in the next couple weeks. So.
Excellent.
We'll be doing some holiday stuff there too. I'll be at 1010 a lot this holiday season, and Hyper, we have a cover reveal this weekend.
Excellent.
So we'll have our holiday cover coming out, so you can find that on hyper.com.
Excellent. Well, similar to what we did with Mr. Kevin Demoff of the Rams when he was on episode 75, we had our traditional lightning round where we got his favorites about L.A., but since it's a new stadium, we want our listeners to get an inside scoop at some of the favorite spots within the stadium for those who get the chance to go there. So you obviously know what's on the menu there. So given that 1010 is a new-ish organization, and we're coming on to the holiday season, and we want as many people to come down and find you in Inglewood, let's share with our guests some of your favorite things on the 1010 menu. Are you ready for a little lightning round part 2?
Oh, here we go.
Yes, yes.
I'm going to say I already had the salmon slider, so I know that's good. So give us your favorite wines on the 1010 menu. LeAnn.
If we're going white, then I'm going with Kamusha Sauvignon Blanc. It is, I think, a perfect holiday wine because if you don't drink wine, then it's light. You don't have to necessarily pair it with food, but you can. So it's a really good intro for, when people are sitting around the table, food's not ready yet. It's a nice sipper, and then you can really transition into something different from that.
Okay.
As far as dinner-wise, I love a Pinot Noir with Thanksgiving because I think it pairs with a lot of Thanksgiving foods. One of my favorites on the menu is the OPP Pinot Noir from Oregon. One, because of the name, and 2, because of the taste.
Excellent. Leslie, do you have a favorite wine or 2 on the menu?
So my favorite wine right now is Brown Estate Chaos Theory, which is a red blend from Napa Valley. And it really...
It's perfect.
It's amazing. Great for the holidays. Great, glass of wine to, drink at home by yourself while you're watching a holiday movie. So I'm going to go with Chaos Theory from Brown Estate.
When Big Sis Leah rolls in, what's her favorite
once
wine?
a week or twice a week.
Easy. I don't even cook at home anymore. I eat at 1010 every night. But there's 2 wines, and what's crazy is I can't think of the Dwayne Wade wine. What's the 3
by Wade?
The
Cab.
3 by Wade, the Cab. Yes, Dwayne Wade has a wine, 3 by Wade, their Cab, and then Intercept has a red blend. Those are my 2 favorites.
Okay.
I like red wines.
Same here. Favorite small bites on the menu? Leslie.
Oysters. Oh, sorry. It just came out.
I really like our salmon bites. They have a spicy aioli on top, fried to perfection.
There it is.
I love that too.
Yeah.
I had that as well.
Salmon bites are really good. That's probably our most popular small bite on our menu.
Yep.
LeAnn, favorite small bite?
I love the oysters because they pair well with champagne, and it's basically just my love language all wrapped into one.
She is the high-end sister here with her oysters and champagne. I like that. Favorite small bite, Leah?
Well, LeAnn's the high-end sister. I'm the budget-friendly sister. So my favorite are the Hennessy wings.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You gotta love oysters and champagne to Hennessy wings.
There it is.
What is your favorite item on the menu overall, LeAnn?
I have to go with the shrimp and risotto.
Ooh,
I thought you were
okay.
going to say the steak.
I was thinking between the steak and shrimp and risotto. And the only reason why I went with the shrimp and risotto is that sometimes they'll make it in the small little cup for me instead of having a full steak. That's the only reason.
Okay. Leslie, you have a favorite item on the menu?
I'm going to go over to brunch. I would say
Ooh.
our sweet potato hash is really good.
Ooh, okay.
So I eat that a lot at brunch. And then I don't eat beef, but sometimes I'll take a bite of my sister's food every once in a while.
Okay.
And our breakfast burger at 1010 for brunch is really good too.
And do you have mimosas on the brunch menu?
We do.
Okay, I have to come down and check that
Yes.
out then.
Good old mimosas.
Leah?
Leslie took the words right out of my mouth. I come to 1010 every Sunday to get the same thing. The breakfast burger is amazing. It's, what kind of beef is it? It's
Kobe beef.
It's Kobe
Wow,
beef.
okay.
It's hash brown. It's egg. It's amazing.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is
Mouthwater.
outstanding.
Yes.
Ladies, I appreciate this so much, and we look forward to visiting again soon. As we say on Civitas LA, the guest always gets the last word. So share with us any concluding thoughts, any calls to action, or any thoughts you want to share with any other aspiring Black female entrepreneurs. Let's start with LeAnn.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. It's been great to be able to be on the platform and just talk business and wine and food. But in addition to that, I would say, you have to go with your dream and not be fearful, and find a mentor, find the funding, and really not get discouraged, and make it happen. And it may not be, Leslie and I have big dreams for 1010, and we didn't, Rome wasn't built in a day. So you have to sometimes start small and build up, and not be discouraged by that. So even though, you want 15 stores, you have to start with one. So my advice is just to, sometimes start small, believe in it, grow in it, and then develop from there.
Outstanding. Leslie.
Yeah, also, thank you so much for having us. We're super grateful. Thank you for everybody who took the time to listen to this. I would say 2 pieces of advice that I give to younger entrepreneurs that look like us is, one is don't ever compare. It's really easy to see what other people are doing on Instagram, on social media, and feel like you're further behind, or feel like you're ahead, and that either, blow up your ego or deflate your ego. But something that we always talk about is just to stay in your lane and stay focused on what you're doing. And it really doesn't matter what the person to the left or to the right of you is doing, as long as what you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then the other thing I would say is just to be present in it. Be present throughout the whole process. We've had some really, really difficult times trying to open up 1010. We've had some really great times, and sometimes I look back and I'm like, I don't remember any of that. And it kind of sucks, because we've had some really cool people come into our space, but I was just so focused on things being perfect, things being right. And I forgot the fact that Stevie Wonder walked in one day, or Adele walked in one day.
Oh, wow.
And it kind of was like, dang, I wish I would have just took a minute and taken a deep breath, like, damn, we did that. Yeah. So I would always just remind people to be present.
That's wonderful. Last but not least, big sister LeAnn.
Big sister, I love it. What I've really been focusing on this year, I think when I first got into business, I was always trying to negotiate my time, my efforts, my price. And I was reading an article earlier this year that said Black women make like 58 cents compared to, for every dollar that
their white
counterparts make. And so what I really want business owners to know, especially women of color, like, we don't really have to settle for charging less than to be competitive, or discounting. Like, we obviously have to be competitive and look at market rates, but I'm really working on not underselling myself and not underselling my businesses. And that's how you stay competitive, really, because sometimes we think we're taking a loss, or we're winning because we're charging less, but really what we end up doing is putting ourselves out of business. Yeah. And so I'm really keen on that this year, and I've really been telling a lot of my business owners that are friends, have you looked at your pricing lately? Have you seen what your competition is charging? And are you there? Because we bring so much to the table as women entrepreneurs, so we should be charging that.
Know your worth is what they say.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Well, LeAnn, Leah, and Leslie, thank you all for joining us today. And again, to Jasmine Willis, thank her for recommending you all, introducing you all to us. And as always, to our audience, we can't do this without you, those who listen to this program. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this program, and we'll hope you'll join us in 2 weeks as we continue our National Entrepreneurship Month celebration. As we like to say on Civitas LA, until we meet again, stay strong and get involved. To learn more about Civitas LA and share feedback on this program, or if you have a recommendation about future programs, please visit our website at www.civitasla.com and connect with us on Facebook at Civitas LA, Instagram at Civitas_LA, and Twitter at Civitas_LA.